Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. Today, we are joined by Jennifer Goodman, Rebekah Kennedy, Vincent Shade, and Ryan Atkins, the cast and crew of The Unseen, coming out later this spring. Guys, welcome to the show. I hope everyone is doing great this evening.
Thank you
Uh,
so much for having us.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I saw the film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We're going to break it down a little bit without giving away any spoilers. And Jennifer, let's start with you. This is your story. You wrote it. As the writer, this film weaves the plot elements in and out right from the get-go, from the start. How difficult of a story was this to write straight through to its climax?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have a plethora of ideas and they're usually all over the place. And so it was definitely a challenge to kind of really figure out how to best tailor the story from beginning, middle to end. But there were a lot of pieces to the story that I wanted to make sure were implemented. And understanding where the characters wanted to go and needed to go versus where they start and that development of each character is what helped drive that ability to write the story. So really getting inside the minds of each person, what their goals are, what their objectives are, and what is stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
So having that ability to figure out, okay, Tommy needs to get to this goal. This is what he's trying to accomplish within his family, within his own goals. This is where Dan is. This is where Millie is. So it was a lot of fun and a big challenge to write, but I really love how it turned out. And I think Vince did a spectacular job bringing that story to life.
Yes,
Very
Vincent,
good.
you
Very
did.
good.
Now, Vincent, how did you and Jennifer connect, and what were your thoughts on Jennifer's script when you first read it?
We've actually been working together for a while. I think we connected on Jen and Ryan's first big television pilot that they did, Conrad. And after that, we just kind of continued working with each other. That's how you do it in the Midwest. You find good crews you work with, and you kind of keep hanging with each other. So then after we worked on a couple of projects, she brought this script to me, and I'm a huge fan of thrillers, big fan of movies like Seven, even like the most recent, like Barbarian. Have you
Yeah.
seen that film?
Oh, yeah.
Just incredible stuff. The reveals and the tales of suburbia, along with these the toxicity of secrets and that ethereal element that exists. So I enjoy all those pieces that came together in the script, and it's got some really great surprises, some
Oh,
really
yeah.
great spine tingling moments too, those Hitchcock moments that I
Oh,
like.
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
congratulations on getting R.J. Midt, who a lot of people know as Walter White Jr. from Breaking Bad, and we got to give props to Mark McCullough. I mean, he did a
Oh, he's the best.
fantastic job as Dan Olson. You hated him as a character. Now, Ryan, as producer, cinematographer, uh, what were some of the challenges you had, both as a producer, keeping everything on track, and as a cinematographer on the movie?
Um, would everything be? No, just kidding. There are, there's, each day presented its own challenge to get all of our scenes within the time period that we had set before us. You know, uh, we have some pretty cool visual effects in the film,
Mm-hmm.
but just they look good in the film because we engineered them to look that way when we're on set. And so you have to shoot them a certain way. You have to take certain preparations with that. You have to bring on, your visual effects supervisors and things of that nature. And so those are definitely a challenge to get done in the amount of time that we had. We did have a few stunts that we had in there, but it was a nice challenge, and I'm really proud of the product that we got out of it. So.
Oh yeah. Now, Rebecca, uh, you played Millie.
Yes.
R.J. Mid's Tommy's best friend, well, friend from high school.
Yeah.
Now, at which stage did you come in to play Millie, and what did you think about your character?
Yeah. So I had been attached for a while. When did we meet? Back in
when you were on Law and Order and I found you on Facebook because I was like, I have to work with her. She's so cool.
Yeah, she messaged me after I had an episode of Law and Order SVU air, and she messaged me after and was so kind and complimentary about my performance, and we connected. And she's like, hope we get to work together. And I was like, hope so too. And so often you say that to each other and you mean it in the moment, but then it never happens.
Exactly.
And not because you don't want to, but because it just didn't work out. So then, flash forward to a couple years later, and Jen's like, I have this script. I'd love you to take a look and play Millie. And so when I read it, I was just floored. I was completely captivated with the script, with the story, with the character. I thought it would be so much fun. I'd never played a character like this, and I get to do a little bit of, wire work, which was amazing and scary and fun and all of the things. So all of that really just attracted me to it. Plus being able to work with Jen and Vince and Ryan was just a cherry on top. So,
how did you approach connecting with the character of Millie, who is sort of an outcast at school? I mean, what approach did you use to connect with the character?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, finding, I can't relate directly to her experience of high school. High school in general just is terrible probably for everyone, but I didn't have quite her experience, thank God. But I do know what it's like to feel lonely, to feel like you don't fit in, to feel like you're not seen. Pun intended, maybe, on that. And so I connected to those things. I could relate to that. And so I was able to get inside of her that way. And when that one person sees you and how you can kind of grab onto that and hope that maybe that person will change things for you.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, obviously we won't get into spoilers, but that is, something that she took with her, and that drives the rest of the film for her.
I completely agree. Now, Jennifer, Tommy is the main character, RJ Mitt's character, straight and through. What were some of the inspirations that you got for Tommy, who's a really complex young man, finishing up law school, the pressures of home life, dealing with a disability? How did he come about in your mind?
So I have a lot of similarities in terms of my own challenges. Being a neurodiverse individual who has had to kind of break the mold as we know it. For me, I grew up in a town and a city that a lot of expectations from the families and the people I grew up with. And so kind of intertwining my own experiences, just kind of thoughts in my head of how to really bring them a little bit deeper, and bringing that. I feel like a lot of writers, especially at least me as a writer, I take a lot of my own experiences, people I wish I was like, or people I resent, or, people I've come across, or even my own personal experiences or moments in my life where I've had something happen to me and I'm thinking like, wow, people should know about this, or people have that story. I see someone else, I'm like, God, that is a story that should be told.
Exactly.
So I think giving that life was really allowed me to kind of develop Tommy in such a fashion that had so many layers. And he really, gosh, he drove it home.
Oh, yeah.
Every day it was incredible how much he'd bring those layers to the storyline that you really do connect with him and then have those experiences with him in the movie.
Absolutely. Now, Vincent, let's talk a little bit more about Dan, Mark's character.
Sure.
Man, talk about intense, this straight through and through. Did you and Mark McCullough have a lot of discussions on how you envisioned the character to be seen on the screen? Did Mark get it right away? Tell us about your interaction with Mark.
I have to say, the real Mark is the opposite of Dan. He is the total opposite of Dan. He is a very heartwarming, strong, stoic, protective, helpful individual who is just very, very generous, generous with his time, his attention, and he always shows up prepared. That's the one thing I can absolutely say about every good actor I've ever worked with shows up ready. and he's ready to go all the time. Off book, he's got options, he's got angles, and he's got such a presence. He's got such a presence, and he's one of these guys that can kind of flip the switch, turn it on, turn it off. Like he can be yelling in one scene so intensely that it scares the entire camera team back a couple steps, and then as soon as I say cut, he's just like, so what do you think, Vince? How was that? Was that all right? It's like, wow, oh my goodness, he's what a kind-hearted gentleman he is. But he has such a command of his force, right? So the force that he brings into each line, we did have conversations back and forth about the rise and fall and the inflection, because he's somebody who can just give power all day, like just solid power. But as we know, it's in the roller coaster of that emotion, and we selected moments to really, really hit, and to make it feel like almost a microcosm of the entire story, right? So that when Dan speaks, it kind of feels like a miniature version of, you never know when something's going to pop off. You never know when this guy's gonna let loose.
What I really enjoyed is that we saw different sides to Dan's character. Was that in Jennifer's script? Was that your idea? How did that come about, Vincent?
Well, it's definitely on the page, right? It's all on the page, but in its interpretation, Dan and I, sorry, Mark and I, my apologies.
We're
Mark
all
and
our characters.
Yeah. Mark and I, we did have a dialogue back and forth, not very long, because Mark got it right away, that we don't want to make this guy some inhuman monster or machine. He has many sides to him, as all characters do, and we want to be able to show some humanity as well, because in any thriller or murder mystery or any of these elements, every bad guy's got a little bit of good, and every good guy's got a little bit of bad. We have to be able to sprinkle that spice for the audience to be able to be like, oh, is this person that, or is this person that, to be able to have a playful doubt with the audience. And Mark he got that right away, and he just kept giving us great options in the takes. I wish you guys could see all the takes. They're all great, just different variety.
Ryan, how would you explain the atmosphere on the set between Jennifer, Vincent, Rebekah, RJ, Mark? Was it all a team effort, a collaboration straight through and through?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of my perspective is often seeing the actor just playing the character, just because I'm just so involved with camera department and getting the visual story told, and everyone is very dialed in. Everyone knows what they need to be doing. And Vince, I remember the instance that you're talking about. I was not expecting Mark to raise his voice when he did. And I'm like, okay, that's just take one. I'm sure they're going to do something different. No, I wasn't prepared for the second one either. And so everyone was very collaborative, and that's pretty much how we got a lot of content done in the time that we had. And it really was an amazing feat.
Now, Rebekah, there's a moment involving your character and forgiveness. How important do you think that is to the story? The aspect of forgiveness.
Oh, I think it's so important. I think that is the drive, the arc for my character in general, and for the story. That it's so hard because I don't want to give anything away of what I can say, but that is so hard. That is so hard in life, is to forgive people. And truly, we can say it, but we still have that whatever in our heart, like the hate or the fear or the guilt, whatever it is that we're feeling. It's so hard to get rid of that. And that was really important to me, was to actually really, really feel that and not just say it, because in life, it's really hard.
It is.
And I wanted to be able to show that even under the most dire circumstances, that you can still be able to find it somewhere in you.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Now, Jennifer, the unseen can be classified under so many different labels about trauma, abuse, revenge. How do you see it, or is it all of the above for you?
Who are you? Who is it to?
Jennifer, yes. I mean,
Oh, I
do
did
you
not.
do you see this story as a trauma story, an abuse story, a revenge story? How do you personally view this story?
Sure. I think, family drama and crime, it has a lot of, it's funny. We've been doing, some paperwork for our movie, and everyone's been like, what do you say the genre is? And I'm like, well, it's trauma, it's crime, it's abuse, it's family drama, it's revenge, it's forgiveness. And I think that's one of the things as a writer that I really love encapsulating is taking things on a very, macro level, right? And bringing global issues and kind of bringing them into this juxtaposed interpersonal dynamics
Yeah.
that allow you to really tremble with so many different layers. And so I don't think it's just one story. It's not just a horror thriller. There's a crime involved. There's drama involved. So there's all sorts of layers. So I think it's all of them, which
Okay.
makes it unique.
That's fair. Now, Vincent, there is one truly innocent character in this film, and that is the youngest daughter, Callie. How important is her role to this story? And, well, more importantly, how did you see her role in this story? Being somebody innocent, sort of dragged into this family drama.
Yeah, great question. I think that Callie, she has a wonderful arc, and I don't want to. I want to try to word this carefully without spoiling anything.
It's so hard.
It is. No, you're Rebekah. You're absolutely right. It's very difficult. But what I will say is that her arc is something that is something that I feel is the family dynamic in from start to finish.
Okay.
In its completed form, a family dynamic, the entire evolution. Now she rides this family dynamic from a place of immaturity to total maturity, and to me, it is the healthiest piece of this film.
Yeah.
Like the film has so much of pain and degradation and the corruption of one's soul in it, and the struggles that people have. But Jen did a very clever thing here in the script. She had a character that symbolizes hope and growth, so that this the darkness of the film doesn't corrode,
Consume you.
yeah, it doesn't corrode a viewer. So that glimmer is actually really vital to have in the film. So I felt like her character was the it was that piece of piping and twister that they held on to amongst the huge tornado that's going on.
Yeah.
It's just still grounded, for some
Absolutely.
reason. It's just like keeps everybody grounded. So yeah, hopefully I'm answering that question.
No,
without
you
spoiling.
did. You did. Jennifer, I want to throw the last question to you. You play the oldest sister in the family. And as I was watching this film, I didn't know exactly quite what your involvement was with the whole story going on. You sort of leave us questioning your character in particular. Was that done intentionally?
It's really funny that you say that. That was me and Vince had this conversation so many times that even in the middle of it, there was a point where we were going to add a moment in a scene so that we don't question her. And that was precisely my concern. If we didn't have her in this scene, would people think she was involved in whatever chaos was happening? And it was like, okay, it's funny that you bring that up, because that was exactly what I thought. But I think, part of it is that suspense, because the unseen can be kind of an overarching of many different people and stories that are unseen. And so the idea is it leaves it up for a sequel.
Yeah.
It leaves it for whatever happened to, Lindsay, what happens to certain family members at the end of the story? Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know.
It's
And
true.
so I think that, it kind of leads us to a place of idea rather than that closure, which I think is a great thing. So
I want to congratulate all you guys. The Unseen is a great film from start to finish. It kept me on the edge of my seat, guessing the whole way through, all the way through to the climax. You guys did a great job. You should all be very proud of this film. Again, the film is called Unseen. It's coming out later on this spring. When it does come out, please check it out. You won't be disappointed. Jennifer wrote it. Vincent directed. Rebekah, Jennifer also star in it. Ryan is a cinematographer, DP, and a producer. Jennifer is also a producer. This was a big collaboration project, and you guys did great. On behalf of Jennifer, Rebekah, Vincent, and Ryan, and myself, I want to thank our audience, those of you who are tuning in live, and those who will be watching later on. On behalf of all of us, stay safe, stay walking. Good night, everybody.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you so
Thank you,
much.
John.
thank you for having us.